Hello everyone, my name is Tahira Guiba from Mauritius, and today together with my colleague Ugboaja Blessing from Nigeria, we are going to present should the national healthcare system mandate genetic screening for breast cancer in high-risk population. It will be a discussion on the ethical, medical, and social implications. To you, Blessing.
Thank you, my friend Tahira. Good morning, everyone. So before we start, we will need to define what genetic screening is about. Genetic screening is a medical test that identifies changes in chromosomes, genes, or proteins to detect genetic disorders. This genetic screening can be predictive, it can be carrier, it can be prenatal screening, and it can be newborn screening. But we are focusing on predictive screening, right? Because it is pre-mandatory screening we are agitating for, right? But before we dive into it, let me walk you through the incidences of breast cancer cases in Africa. In Northern Africa, about 43.2 per 100,000 women are diagnosed every year. In Southern Africa, 38.9 per 100,000 women are diagnosed every year. In Western Africa, 38.6 per 100,000 women are diagnosed every year. In Mauritius, where we have high rates of breast cancer, about 64.2%, 64.2 per 100,000 women are diagnosed every year. And here in Nigeria, about 50.4 per 100,000 women are diagnosed every year. Why is this? Because a lot of people present late, right? There are other challenges, which include lack of screening and therapeutic infrastructures, lack of awareness, lack of resources. But the major thing is that people present late, right? So in our introduction, we have that early detection plays a crucial role in the fight against breast cancer, as it significantly improves the chances of successful treatment and survival. And here are the key reasons why early detection is very important. Because it increases survival rate, it gives you more treatment options. In the case of Angelina Jolie, who the mother died of ovarian cancer, she underwent a preventive double mastectomy due to the high risk of developing breast cancer. After undergoing this test, she learned that she had 87% of developing breast cancer. That informed her decision to go for that preventive surgery she had. And after that, she had less than 5% chances of developing breast cancer in her lifetime. So early detection helps also to improve prognosis. It helps to improve to prevent metastasis, and it's highly cost effective. In our opening statements, Tahira and I are pro-mandatory genetic screening for breast cancer in high-risk population because it's not only a proactive step, but it's also a cost-effective approach to reduce breast cancer-related morbidity and mortality. By identifying individuals with genetic mutations like BRCA1 and BRCA2, we can implement early interventions such as increased surveillance, lifestyle modification, preventive measures like prophylactic surgeries, just like Angelina did. Genetic screening empowers individuals with critical information about their health, giving them opportunity to make informed decisions. In my own case, as a young breast cancer survivor, when I was diagnosed, my major concern was my two daughters who were less than 6 then. I had to, take the bull by the horn by going for genetic screening, and I was eventually screened for 63 cancer genes, BRCA1 and 2 inclusive. Unfortunately, they all came out negative. But that informed my decision. Since breast cancer, having breast cancer in your family is a risk factor, it's helped me to, modify my children's lifestyle at their young age. It helped me to incorporate some things into our diets and eliminated some things, right? So this helps you to make decisions about your health and that of your family too. Over to my colleague, Tahira.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Leslie.
You're
Now,
welcome.
as we have mandate genetic screening for persons in high-risk population. What exactly are high-risk population? They are defined by certain categories. For example, pre-existing medical conditions, environmental and lifestyle factors, gender and hormonal factors, age, and also genetic and family history factors. As Blessing said, it's important to make some decision about your family and everyone in which is affected. So for inherited genetic mutation, some cancers are associated with inherited mutation. Also, for a family history of cancer, especially when multiple close relatives are affected, can indicate a higher genetic risk for certain cancers. Individuals with a family history of cancer may undergo genetic testing to identify specific mutations that increase cancer risk. Today, we have different genetic screening technologies. It allows us to screen for specific genes that are responsible for cancers. So, how will we define the high-risk population? Is through family history, known genetic mutations, personal medical history, as well as certain ethnic group with higher genetic predisposition. Next slide, please.
Now, in our constructive arguments, there is empirical evidence that genetic screening helps individuals to make informed decisions because it provides individuals with knowledge about their genetic risk and empowers them to make informed decisions about preventive measures such as regular screening, lifestyle changes, or even preventive surgeries, just like I mentioned in the case of Angelina Jolie. Note that BRCA1 and 2 germline mutations account for up to 30% of inherited breast cancers and are the most commonly assessed mutations in patients presenting early with early onset breast cancer, just like mine, who was diagnosed under the age of 40 and is also seen in triple negative breast cancer, those that had estrogen receptor, progesterone receptor, and HER2 negative breast cancer. Then bilateral breast cancer, those that had breast cancer in the two breasts, and then those that have family history of breast cancer. And then we talk about cost effectiveness. I mentioned earlier that it's highly cost effective. Although genetic screening may initially appear costly, it could save money in the long run by reducing the need for expensive treatments for late stage breast cancer. The cost of genetic tests today is about $300 compared to up to $100,000 for treatment of late stage cancer. At the end of the day, after spending such huge amounts, does cancer really go away? Does this treatment prevent recurrence? This is story for another day. Furthermore, early detection and prevention can result in fewer hospitalizations, reduce treatment costs, and improve quality of life. Okay, so also mandating this also helps to reduce health disparities. Mandating genetic screening ensures that individuals from undeserved or vulnerable population who may not otherwise have access to genetic testing benefit from equal healthcare opportunities by reducing health disparities in high-risk groups. My colleague Tahira takes the next slide. Thank you. You're muted.
Thank you, Blessing. So we will now continue with the current genetic screening practices. What exactly are the current genetic screening practices? Are they free in Africa? Definitely not. Are they obligatory? No healthcare services is obligatory on anyone. We have the right to choose for our own screening and our own treatment. In Mauritius, we have screening for BRCA1, BRCA2, PTEN, among many other genetic tests for breast cancer, and it is offered in private clinics. It is very expensive, but so many people are doing it on their own. They are paying for it. Genetic screening protocols in Africa vary across countries, as we all know, largely due to difference in healthcare infrastructure, right? And also resources and priorities. However, a number of African countries have initiated genetic screening programs for varying conditions. As you can see on the screen, it's mainly for newborn screening and also a carrier screening. These are all to improve the outcome and reduce trial and error treatment. Next slide, please. Because as we said, strict health mandates are generally implemented in response to major public health concerns. These include infectious disease control, vaccination, and disease prevention. While breast cancer is neither an infectious disease, nor does it require vaccination, and nor the information on it can create disease prevention for another individual, it is only beneficial to mandate it without penalty. As our opposing team said, the issue is only with mandating genetic screening, but mandating without penalty is what we are for. Mandate without penalty generally focus on encouraging participation rather than enforcing compliance through legal or financial consequences. These mandates are typically filed to public health government as recommendations. Because no healthcare information can cause unnecessary anxiety, as our opposing team said. Millions of people are doing mammography. They are interested and they want to know about their health. They want to see if something is wrong. While we have all the technology, science is advancing, and now we have genetic screening to predict these tests in a more accurate manner, everybody will be in for it. Having information about our own health cannot be unnecessary anxiety. On the contrary, it can only be beneficial for us to take preventive measures, take necessary action, and allowing us for different decision facilities. Because it also offers information so that preventive measures could be taken. Breast cancer screening should be of high importance since it is a leading cause of death among cancer patients. If there's one genetic screening that is of higher importance than the others, is for breast screening for women in Africa. Next slide, please.
Okay, we're still on the ritual. Our opponents are worried about our right to autonomy. Public health policies often require balancing individual rights with societal benefits. Mandatory genetic screening is akin to mandatory vaccinations or infectious disease screening. It serves the greater good by enabling early detection and prevention, reducing morbidity and mortality. We talk about financial consent. The initial costs of genetic screening are outweighed by the long-term savings from early detection and reduced costs. Remember, I mentioned earlier the cost of screening and the cost of treating breast cancer. Treating advanced cancer is significantly more expensive than preventive measures. We are worried about ethical concerns. That my opponents are worried about ethical concerns. Ethical concerns are valid, but can be addressed through robust framework, ensuring informed consent, confidentiality, and equitable access. Ethic committees and guidelines like those from WHO ensures fairness and transparency. And there are other data protection laws, to protect your data, like GINA and the rest of them. And they're also worried about stigmatization. Public health education and awareness campaigns can mitigate stigmatization, just like we are doing today. We're lending our voices and creating awareness. So normalizing genetic screening, as seen with HIV testing and awareness campaign, reduces stigma over time. My colleague, over to you.
Thank you, Blessing. So we will now see the global perspective on genetic screening. What are the future directions? There's a growing recognition of the need to make genetic screening more widely accessible. particularly in low-resource settings. International organizations are working to expand genetic testing infrastructure, certainly provide education and promote equitable access to screening in undeserved population. Why? Because there's a global community who is increasingly focused on creating ethical guidelines and legal frameworks that protect individuals from discrimination. As we can see, countries with established and comprehensive public health programs in the UK, Canada, Australia, US, etc., they have the tendency to mandate newborn screening while other genetic testings are offered voluntarily. That is, they are mandated without penalty. This is that the service is offered to the public, but there's no legal action taken if the person refuses to participate in the campaign. Because strict mandate generally applies to treatable conditions. We cannot force someone to genetic screen for breast cancer because we don't know what the outcome will be. People around the world spend millions and billions of dollars yearly to pay for genetic screening tests. To mandate it in Africa is just a positive step. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Tahira, for that. So in our closing statement, mandatory genetic screening for high-risk population is not only an investment in individual health, but it is also in the overall effectiveness of the national healthcare system. So by proactively identifying individuals at high risk, healthcare systems can save lives, reduce treatment costs, and provide individuals with the knowledge to make life-saving decisions about their health, just like Angelina Jolie did. Genetic testing is a powerful tool that allows for the detection of BRCA and non-BRCA germline mutations in individuals with high risk of breast cancer, which in turn aids in the individualization of treatment. It helps to tailor down treatment regimen to suit individual needs and not giving a one-size-fits-all approach. Today, Tahira and I stand in support of mandating genetic screening for disease like breast cancer. It's not just a medical advancement, it is moral obligation to protect future generations. Together, let us embrace life transformative tool. Let us embrace this life transformative tool to create a healthier, more equitable society where preventive suffering becomes a thing of the past. We therefore call for the implementation of policies that make genetic screening a mandatory part of healthcare for those at high risk of breast cancer, emphasizing the long-term benefits for individuals, family, and the society at large. Thank you very much. These are our references. We await your questions.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yes.